This is Steve Ridgel, and I've been reading in number 16 about a revolt. Moses and Aaron are leading the people, the Levites or the priests, and there's some people that aren't happy with Moses' leadership. Apparently, they want to be leaders. And so there's a rebellion led by a man named Korah. He gets a couple of guys to really support him. They recruit 250 other leaders to kind of stand with them, get the whole congregation riled up. And when you look at, and when you really read the story, apparently he's unhappy. Korah's unhappy because he's not one of the leaders. He wants to be one of the ones to lead God's people. He even argues, aren't we all special to the Lord? And so it's apparently a little bit of a jealousy thing. It's a little bit of a, hey, I want to be in charge. And he says, Moses, you hadn't even done a good job. You didn't even take us where you promised us. You didn't get us to the promised land. Ironically, Moses did get them there. The people just wouldn't go in. It's funny how people want to be in charge and how critical they can be of leaders. Just takes one guy who really wants it his way. And then you recruit a couple of guys who kind of stand with you. And then they got 250 well-known men who were apparently really leaders of God's people. And they went along with this. God, we don't like the way you set it up. We think things ought to be different. And there they go. And there were consequences. Korah and his two big assistants, man, they were swallowed up, they and their families. The 250 men who supported them burned up. And the congregation that muttered about it the next day, you've killed God's people, and got upset about it, well, God sent a plague through them, killed almost 15,000 of them before it stopped. You know, and I know you can make too much of trying to make parallels. You can say, that's just like, I don't know. When I read that, I'm struck by how there are people that thought, hey, I don't like somebody. God, you didn't set up the leadership system the way I like it. I want to be a leader, and I should be, and you get a couple of people who you kind of talk into being your supporters, and then I don't know why the 250 men didn't stand up and say, wait, why are you doing this? I don't know how Korah convinced them to stand against the Lord with him, but he did. And then got the whole congregation behind him. And God wasn't pleased with it. So, you know, I'm not very smart, and I'm not any kind of great leader, but I tell you what does strike me out of that. You know, when God says, here's the way that's best, I probably ought to pay attention to that, whether I understand it or not, whether it includes me or not. I probably ought to pay attention to that. And I need to be real careful when somebody is selling ego-motivated leadership to me. I don't know if I need... It's easy when they flatter you and tell you how good you are to follow along. Be careful about that. And congregation, be real careful who you listen to. Because it's God you want to hear first, not men. So, I'm just telling you, I've been reading through Numbers, and I read number 16, and I was really struck by how things never change. God's people torn up by jealous people who want to be in charge.